On January 8th, 2011, Gabrielle Giffords, a Democrat from Arizona's 8th District, Congresswoman, was shot. And this was at an event that was designed for her to talk to her constituents. 19 people were shot at in total. 6 of them died, including a federal judge and an innocent 9-year-old girl. And basically what I intend to do with this video is do what the mainstream media refuses to do, because they refuse to actually rock the boat and call this out for what it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what caused this to happen. What made the climate that caused an elected official to be shot at in an attempted assassination plot. This really all goes back. The first documented case of it is April 16th, 2009. Then a report was released by the Department of Homeland Security that showed that there was growing extremism in the United States, and that most of it was coming from conservative movements. And once this report was released, it was, lambasted by Fox News, the print media, CNN, and online sites such as the Drudge Report. Republican officials claimed it was a cheap political maneuver, and we didn't really hear about it much. But maybe now we should go back and look at that report, because what I'm about to show you is a history of right-wing extremism that has really created this culture where anything is acceptable. So on that exact same day, that's when the governor of Texas, Rick Perry, floated the idea of Texas seceding from the Union. On May 5th, 2009, popular conservative talk show host Michael Savage was banned from entering the UK because of hate speech. On May 31st, 2009 again, Scott Roeder assassinated George Tiller after Bill O'Reilly revealed his location and referred to him as Tiller the Baby Killer. Throughout the month of July 2009, Glenn Beck claimed that Barack Obama was a racist with a deep-seated hatred for white people. He accused Obama of having a communist cabinet, having a fascist government of czars, and espousing the belief that Acorn stole the 2008 presidential election. He made comments joking about the murder of Michael Moore and Nancy Pelosi, and he claimed in this month that progressivism is the cancer of America and it must be eliminated. June 11th, 2009, James Brune, an Obama birther and End the Fed conservative, committed the Holocaust memorial shooting, killing 3 people. June 29th, 2009, 11 House Republicans come out publicly endorsing the idea that Obama has committed treason because he isn't a United States citizen and is president. Shortly thereafter, bills are introduced similar to this one in Arizona, Texas, and Colorado. August 10th, 2009. There was a loaded gun abandoned at a town hall meeting for Gabrielle Giffords, the one that I'm making this video on. August 11th, 2009. A man with a gun pickets an Obama town hall event. Like I said, he has a gun, and his shirt said, "It's time to water the tree of liberty." Now, this phrase was on the T-shirt of Timothy McVeigh the day he was committing that terrible act, the Oklahoma City bombing. September 9th, of 2009, Obama becomes the first president shouted down during a joint session of Congress since George Washington, when Joe Wilson yells, "You lie." February 18th, 2010, Joe Stack flies a plane into the IRS building in Texas, killing himself, an IRS worker, and injuring another. Far-right wing groups claim him as one of their own after a manifesto is discovered where Stack rails against the IRS and federal government. March 17th, 2010, opponents of healthcare reform verbally harass a man with Parkinson's disease, claiming that "you'll get no handouts from me," just months after conservative talk show host Rush Limbaugh insinuates that Michael J. Fox is faking that exact same disorder. March 20th, 2010, Tea Party protesters en masse yell slurs at gay and African American members of the Democratic caucus and spit on them as they gear up for an upcoming health care vote. March 21st, Republican Representative David Nunes claims the Obama administration is using totalitarian tactics in the vein of World War II dictators such as Joseph Stalin to defend the events of March 20th, which I just described to you. March 22nd, bricks are thrown through windows at 2 New York Democratic Party offices and the congressional office of Louis Slaughter of New York. Attached to the brick is a note that says, "Extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice." This is a quote from the 1964 presidential GOP candidate Barry Goldwater. March 23rd, Sarah Palin, this is 2010 by the way, Sarah Palin releases a map depicting 20 congressional seats in crosshairs with the words, "Don't retreat, reload." The release is widely condemned by liberals who claim it would incite violence. Months later, one of the people in the crosshairs is nearly assassinated. I'm referring to Gabrielle Giffords. March 24th, 2010, there were actually 3 events on this day. The gas line is cut at the home of the brother of Tom Perriello, a Democratic representative from Virginia, after that address is posted on a right-wing anti-health care reform website claiming it is the home of Tom Perriello and not his brother. 2. Bart Stupak received faxes that depict him in a noose, he receives mail, email, and phone messages with death threats by the hundreds. He announces his resignation from Congress shortly thereafter. And 3rd on this date is 3 Kill the Bill Tea Party protesters are arrested after storming the Hall of Congress. March 25th, 2010. A brick is thrown through the congressional office of Gabrielle Giffords after she votes for health care reform. March 29th, the conservative militia movement known as Hutari is raided by the FBI after they plot to overthrow the government. April 7th, 2010. Republican congressional candidate Allen West, Republican of Florida, tells his supporters to make his opponent afraid to leave his house, and that's a direct quote. June 12th, 2010. Republican candidate Jesse Kelly, who was the opponent of Gabrielle Giffords, invites supporters to shoot a fully automatic M16 with him in a rally to quote-unquote remove Giffords. An M16 is the suspected gun used in the January 8th shooting. June 16th, 2010, Senate Republican nominee Sharon Angle claims if the Congress keeps going the way it is, people are really looking toward those Second Amendment remedies. July 20th, a cop killer in California is arrested. Searching his house finds plans to storm the ACLU and Tides Foundation. Those buildings are 2 frequent villains that are mentioned on the Glenn Beck Show. September 15th, conservatives nominate Carl Palladino for New York's GOP gubernatorial nomination. During his campaign, he threatens reporters with threats of violence and unveils a plan to convert prisons into locked communities for the poor. He's under investigation for embezzlement of campaign funds and sending lewd emails through the campaign site that he owned. October 21st, 2010, Republican congressional candidate Stephen Broden claims our nation was founded on violence and the option to violently overthrow the government is still on the table. October 25th, supporters of Rand Paul physically assault a member of MoveOn.org. January 7th, 2011, an explosive package addressed to Secretary of Security Janet Napolitano, Homeland Security Janet Napolitano catches fire at a Washington, D.C. postal center. So that all leads to what happened yesterday. And I described it earlier, but I didn't describe what the perpetrator of those crimes actually believed. He believed that the government was trying to control grammar, which is a meme widely circulated by far-right conspiracists. And he believed that we needed to go back to the gold standard in order to pay our debt, which is a basic tenet of Glenn Beck and, to a lesser extent, Ron Paul with the gold standard. He also complained about people not being able to speak English in the Arizona 8th District. Does that sound conservative to you at all? Basically, he also stated that the 10th Amendment was basically a mechanism in the Constitution in order to deny the federal government power. If that sounds familiar, it's because Newt Gingrich made that exact same argument at a conservative... I think it was CPAC, might have been Southern Conservative meeting. I don't know. It was something like that. It was one of those events. He said those exact words. After Giffords was shot, the reporters asked her father, if she had any enemies, and her father replied, the Tea Party. The judge he assassinated, this one could have been the judge was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but if that was premeditated, John Rawl was frequently got death threats for being a quote-unquote activist liberal judge. So I'm not entirely sure that was on purpose, though, so disavow that. But meanwhile, while all these events are happening, death threats are up 400% against Obama. Mike Huckabee, Newt Gingrich, and Sarah Palin openly advocate executing Julian Assange. Ads ran in Colorado depicting Obama as the angel of death. And polling has showed that a significant number of conservatives think Obama was doing many of the things Hitler did, that he was the Antichrist, that he wasn't a natural citizen. So this creates a climate, and quite frankly, it isn't on the left. People who try and claim that somehow the left is just as bad as the right are lying when it comes to this. Basically, it creates a climate of anything goes mentality. All of these, it's almost exclusive to the right. There have been 2 incidents of liberal terrorism since Obama took office, and there have been 30 documented cases of conservative radicalism since Obama took office. That's 1,500% more. Is that coincidence? That's not coincidence. What we need to do is we need to actually call this out, because if we don't do anything, it's just going to get worse. I predicted that a member of Congress, or not a member of Congress, but an elected official would be shot at in March of 2010. I predicted this. But somehow I'm the bad guy for actually showing that, hey, maybe the fact that there is this zeitgeist that makes it seem as though extremism is okay, that radical extremism is okay, is somehow contributing to the problem that people are getting shot at for no good reason. Somehow I'm the one that's just gone far. I've just gone way too far. Conservative radicalism must be repudiated, and so far I don't see it anywhere. I just see a bunch of the media trying to basically claim that this has nothing to do with radicalism on the right. It's has absolutely nothing to do with that, even though there's an overwhelming amount of evidence. Because another thing I failed to mention earlier was the fact that the shooter was subscribed to a magazine known as The Renaissance, which was a far-right magazine endorsed by the Wall Street Journal and the Weekly Standard, 2 other conservative, fairly popular conservative publications. So we need to do something about this. But this video is getting a little long, so I'm out.